What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Michael Chandler reacts to Conor McGregor news. This week, Conor McGregor dropped some news regarding his return to the octagon, indicating that he and Michael Chandler would be competing in June at the UFC's International Fight Week card. After posting a series of tweets, Chandler has since spoken to ESPN's Brett Okamoto about the fight, indicating that while the UFC has yet to formally announce the bout, his team has been in touch with them, and he's preparing to head down to Florida for training camp.
So we all know it's never 100% officially confirmed until, number one, we actually stepped in the octagon, but before that, and when the UFC comes out with it. But obviously, my team has been in touch with the UFC, and yeah, June 29th is what I'm preparing for. I'm leaving my family here in the next couple weeks to head down to Florida to get into fight camp, the fight camp that has been looming now for a year.
In addition, Chandler also spoke about whether the fight would take place at middleweight, as McGregor indicated, or whether the Irish star was simply trolling.
Ultimately, I'm 50-50 on it, you know, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I spent 5 weeks around Conor. I don't care whether he wants to fight at 185, 170, 205, whatever it might be. You got to remember, he doesn't want to fight 155 because he wants everybody to believe that he's bigger than he is. He can't fight at he, in his mind, can't fight at 170 because I called him out at 170. Therefore, I'm not doing as I told. He's doing what I said at 170. So he had to say 185, just like he did in the intro scene of The Ultimate Fighter.
If the fight does wind up happening at 185 pounds, both men will have plenty of time to get acclimated to training with the added weight before the June 29th date. Next up, let's take a look at Dricus Du Plessis responds and goes off on Sean Strickland. As Sean Strickland recently indicated on Theo Von's podcast, he believes that there are certain things that are off limits when talking trash before a fight. The middleweight champ cited a person's wife or their kids, for example, as well as someone's childhood traumas. According to #1 contender Dricus Du Plessis, however, the champ is being a hypocrite. During a recent interview with MMA On Point, Du Plessis fired back.
You know, it is what it is. I'm glad he cried and he got it out. It's the end of that. Do I think he's a hypocrite? 100%. 100%. Obviously, childhood trauma is something you can't help, but if you know what it feels like to be at the one on the receiving end of such trauma, don't inflict it on others, because that's exactly what he does. So yes, I mean, I feel bad for him. I don't think any kid deserves that ever. I think he's used to being the bully, and he's not used to being bullied.
Strickland's vulnerability on Theo Von's podcast has notably opened up the door to quite a bit of discussion in the days since the podcast was posted, with other fighters like Ian Gary weighing in and calling him out. With all of that in mind, it's unclear if the middleweight champ will change his brash nature going forward. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC fighter response to Paddy Pimblett call-out. Terrence McKinney and Paddy Pimblett have continued to take shots at one another in the media, with the two both entering the UFC in 2021 and picking up impressive wins in their promotional debuts just a few months apart. There have been repeated talks of the pair competing against one another. Pimblett spoke about his long list of haters and critics on a recent podcast called Happy Endings, citing McKinney as someone who has repeatedly called him out. After calling McKinney a bum, the lightweight took aim at the streaking Scouser in an Instagram comment, writing, "Rex Army, baby. We all know I'll give this dude an early nap time if you don't know me. My boy, why do you always reply LMFAO? Paddy the Batty, UFC, let's make it happen. I'm trying to knock that mushroom top off Chris from Family Guy head." While Pimblett has shut down talk of a fight at UFC 300, explaining that his wife is expecting twins around that time, he indicated that he would like to fight over the summer. On the flip side, McKinney has yet to book his next fight. However, the lightweight is set to compete against Sydney Outlaw in a grappling match at ADXC2 on January 19th. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight Updates. With the UFC's return right around the corner next weekend, let's take a look at today's UFC Fight Updates, starting with 2 changes to the UFC Fight Night 235 card on February 3rd. According to reports, 2 fighters have withdrawn from their scheduled bouts, with William Gomez withdrawing from his bout with Melsik Baghdasaryan, and Kiefer Crosby being forced out of his fight with Themba Gorimbo due to an injury. In the case of Gomez, it's unclear whether the promotion will attempt to find a short-notice opponent for Baghdasaryan or reschedule the fight for a different card in the future. In the case of Crosby's withdrawal, the situation hasn't gone over well with Themba Gorimbo, who posted a screenshot on his Instagram story captioned, "Lesson 1. If you hate, bad things come your way. I wish nothing but good for others." Fortunately for Garimbo, a replacement fight has since been reported, with reports indicating that Pete Rodriguez will be stepping in to fight Garimbo on short notice. Last but certainly not least, we have a new addition to the UFC Mexico card on February 24th, with reports indicating that Manuel Torres will fight Chris Duncan. The bout will see Torres look to build on an impressive winning streak that's seen him rattle off back-to-back wins in the UFC, while Duncan will be looking to build on a 2-fight winning streak of his own inside the octagon that saw him go undefeated in 2023. In addition, be ready for a potential announcement from Dana White regarding UFC 300 after he teased an announcement while he's in Bali. Next, let's take a look at Henry Cejudo sends message to Sean Strickland. While many members of the MMA community have praised Sean Strickland for his openness and vulnerability regarding his childhood traumas, Henry Cejudo took the opposite stance, ripping the middleweight champ in a surprising twist. In a video for his YouTube channel, Cejudo took aim at not only Strickland, but also featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski for being emotional and vulnerable following his loss to Islam Makhachev. He started by addressing Strickland before then shifting gears.
You're talking about people's wives and you're calling people, and things of that nature. How do you not expect somebody else to come at you? I'm saying, Sean, I hope you can come to the consensus to be able to accept the fact that you're in this game, bro. Like, learn how to play. Don't be that. You can't, man. You can't. It's the same thing with Volkanovski. Volkanovski's showing his cards that he goes through anxiety if he doesn't fight. Like, bro, like, what the like, keep some of that to yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? The world doesn't need to know.
Some fans were quick to fire back at Cejudo, pointing out that Triple C was emotional after winning Olympic gold in Beijing in 2008. However, others defended him, arguing that was different than showing vulnerability by talking about mental health. Next, let's take a look at Jorge Masvidal gets called out for UFC 300. With the news that the original BMF, Jorge Masvidal, will be coming out of retirement, former ONE champion Ben Askren was quick to call out his longtime rival for a rematch after the highlight reel knockout that occurred in the pair's UFC 239 fight. Speaking in a video for Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier's YouTube channel, Askren called out Masvidal, indicating that all it would take to get him on board would be a call from Dana White.
Listen, okay, I will make it say right now. If Dana called me and said, Ben, George Masvidal, UFC 300, international, I don't give a damn. I'm out of retirement. I'll fight him. I don't care. But he'll never say yes to that unless maybe he loses some more money or something. But it would be great. I would love to. But you know what? It's one of those things, kind of like what you said about Michael. It's like, I don't want to be begging and groveling for it. I mean, it's unlikely to happen. And so it's like, if someone calls me and says it's going to happen, okay, I'm there. If they don't, I'm just going to live my life.
Given that Askren is also retired, it sounds as though a fight is unlikely to happen. However, the way Chael Sonnen sees things, there's one fight that does make sense for Masvidal's return. He spoke in a video for his YouTube channel.
A 1 in a million opportunity. I mean, there's a 1 in a million chance that he goes back. And if he got everything together and he got it all planned, he's got a deal done behind the scenes, that would have to be him versus Gaethje at 70 for the BMF. The only way you could make up for his retirement, or that you could make up for the discrepancy within records, is if you spot him the weight and you move Gaethje to 170 and you make it for BMF. And
after retiring, Masvidal indicated that he withdrew from the USADA testing pool. Although the testing agency and the UFC are no longer partnered, he would still be subjected to 6 months of testing under the promotion's new testing program before returning to action. Next up, let's take a look at UFC fighter exposes Dana White's rule change. The UFC's flag ban has continued to be a major talking point among the MMA community. For months, fighters were barred from carrying flags to the octagon, with Dana White giving no specific reasoning as to why. After September's Noche UFC card, White indicated that the flag ban was over, saying that if flags hurt someone's feelings, then too bad. However, the promotion then wound up re-banning flags. Ahead of his UFC Vegas 84 fight on January 13th, Fareed Basharat indicated to MMA Fighting that his request to carry the flag of Afghanistan has been denied. I would love to walk out with the flag, but I don't think they're allowing the Afghanistan flag. Not the Afghanistan flag. We tried in Abu Dhabi for my brother Javid, and they said no, because they don't recognize the current government flag, and the old one is not an official flag. So what flag are you going to bring out? The Afghanistan flag is still a no-no. The fight will see Basharat look to build on his unbeaten record, which has seen him rattle off back-to-back victories since joining the UFC in 2023. On the flip side, his opponent, Taylor Lapilus, will be looking to build on a win in his UFC debut back in September. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.